Hello, welcome to another weekly roundup. Ben, the Amputee Angler. I'm up at South Barn in Seaford today. You probably can't make it all out over here. Beautiful little walk down to Cookmere, which many a lure angler has probably undertaken, especially if you're local. If you know, you know. And I actually got a picture of it hung up in my lounge. It's a really famous beauty spot up here. But I'm up here doing a weekly video. What's been going on this week? And today's topic, right? Operation Tetra Dock move was what went on this week. A Tetra Dock, if you're not aware, it's basically a series of plastic blocks, heavy-duty plastic blocks, designed to drive your boat up on, and it keeps your boat out of the water, keeps it safely out on a dock. The dock takes the beating on the berth, not the boat, and it gives you so many more benefits. I've done a post about it last Friday on my Facebook page, along with loads of other posts and videos. If you're not over there, love to have you over there. Facebook, the Amputee Angler. Yeah, so basically we were going to break it down and move it bit by bit via a van because it was in Brighton and we're going to Eastbourne, which is where I'm based. I've done it before. I've broken a dock down before with Jake and a few others last year. Sorry, not last year, a couple of years ago. And I said I'd never do it again. And I've got to do it for the new boat. So yeah, anyway, on the morning of going to do there, we realised that we didn't have one of the tools. And then Brighton Marina, Premier Marina, I don't know what it is, off topic slightly, but Brighton Marina and Eastbourne Premier Marina, they are like chalk and cheese. Brighton seems to always be in a shambles with a lot of grumpy staff. No offence to anybody if you are from Premier over there and watch this. But Eastbourne is the complete opposite. It's lovely and clean. They can't do enough for you. And it's constantly being maintained. Everything's tip-top. Yeah, anyway, got there at Brighton and the ramp was out of action. They'd completely shut it off. And then on top of that, they had no fuel for 6 weeks either there. So we were like, oh, Christ. So we'd already all committed, 4 of us. And I was like, let's just tow it. Let's just tow it. And I'm lucky that I've got a good group of friends around me. One of them, Greg, owns Kraken Charters, which is a bloody great charter boat. And you would have seen me doing some squidding on there recently. And I was like, oh, Greg, can we just lash it to your boat and we'll tow it to Eastbourne? I was like, it's going to be a darn sight easier. Once it's on the boat and we're at open sea, it's just a straight line with the tide. Tide was flooding, so it was going with us. I said, let's just tow it. So we did. That's what we did. So we lashed it to the side of us, got out the marina. Once we were nice and clear, put it behind us on a strop, and 5 and a bit hours to get to Eastbourne. Got it on my berth. Eastbourne Marina got the little workboat out and very kindly put it on there for me. And then it was a 40-minute steam home. Done. All day job, but so much easier. And that was my mission for this week. Big thanks to Greg, Jake, and the Chinese Dragon for getting on there with me and getting it done, because it made it a nice, pleasant, easy process. Not like I thought it was going to be. Right, this week, another contentious topic, and it's on sponsored anglers and angling in general, sponsored angling. Now, before I start, I just want to say, anything I say now is said with no ego, and it's not aimed at anybody. I want to get that clear now, because I'm quite outgoing, confident, loud. I would class myself as loud, not on purpose. It's just my personality and years of my adult life working in the fishing industry and the army, both of which swearing, shouting, and being loud with communication is ingrained into you, and I naturally have that in me now. That's just my personality. So I want to say that's just me. Don't take anything I say and the way I say it to offence. There's a lot of posts lately, mainly from the freshwater world, a few in the sea fishing world as well at the minute, sort of either A, calling out sponsored anglers and saying how much they're not liked, or B, they are sponsored anglers, sort of say, look, you know, this is what we do. And I thought I'd chime in this week with it and just sort of put my 2 pence in. For clarity and for transparency, I am a sponsored angler. I don't shout about it too much. I don't shove product in people's faces openly, because I don't think that's the way to do things in this day and age, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But I am sponsored. I'm lucky enough to be sponsored formally by 4 companies and a 5th on the down low, on the quiet. And I sort of just want to have a little 2 pence on it, really. So here in the UK, it seems to be a bit of a taboo subject, sponsored anglers. In America and Australia, if you're a sponsored angler, you tend to get a lot more love and sort of pats on the backs and kudos for it. Here in the UK, there seems to be a rapidly declining mentality towards sponsored anglers, And I'd go as far to say there is actually a little bit of hate starting to pop up towards it. And I think it's twofold. One, I think that's just the nature of being sponsored. I think you're going to attract a bit of hate. But two, also, I do think that some sponsored anglers don't do themselves any favours in how they come across as sponsored. So let's talk about it. So I'm sponsored by my local boatyard. Simpson Marine was my first ever one. And they were really good. And I sort of said, you know, we can work together. I actively went up to them and said, perhaps there's something we could do together. I get a discount on my fishing stuff and my boat services, and I get to promote them as a yard because they've got a big tackle shop in there, probably one of the best on the South Coast now. And it went from there, really. And I started meeting some of the reps, and then the reps have then followed me, and they've basically come along and they've all sort of said, we like what you do. We want to look after you a little bit and make you part of the team. So, you know, that's how my sponsored stuff has come about. I'm sponsored by Cox and Rule. I look after, you know, I do stuff for them. I did work for them as well, and I do bits for them. Sidewinder Lures and Pure Fishing, which, if you're not aware of Pure Fishing, they are like an umbrella company for, I think there's like 18 or 20 major brands. So Penn, Abu, Shakespeare, Waterwolf, all the camera stuff in there, Abu Garcia, all that lot. There's loads in there. They're an umbrella company. But all of them, maybe sort of the Pure Fishing, sometimes you have to do a little bit of stuff for them, but all of them have the remit of just go fishing. That's the rules. Just go fishing. Be honest with what we give you and what you're using, and just talk about it in a positive light. If you don't like it, just don't say that. Don't use it. Don't like it. Give us the feedback and we'll work on it to make it good. And that is the general rule of thumb for all of the sponsors that I have on board. Now, there's obviously not just me. There's other sponsors, Pro Team as it was in that. Yeah, and what I will say on that is, if I woke up tomorrow and all of those sponsors said, Ben, we didn't like that video you did, or we don't want to use you anymore, you're not doing what we want from you, or whatever, or maybe, as is the case with some anglers, the sponsored anglers want to let the sponsors go. They don't want to be sponsored anymore. They don't like the hate, or they don't like the pressure that comes with it, or perhaps they want to be free to use other products without someone getting in their ear. And I get all of those. I get all of it. But the hate from it here in the UK is just nuts. So there's people actively posting now going, oh, these sponsored anglers. And I just want to say that if I lost them all tomorrow, I would still be using the gear that I use today. I would still use all of it. Cox and Rule on my hook company, Sidewinder and my lures, and I think they're brilliant, and a lot of people would agree with that. But obviously everyone's got their favourites, maybe a Westin or a Savage Gear or another lure company, you know, whatever. I would still use every bit of kit that I'm using now. I would still be using without any responsibilities to use it. And that's the best thing about the sponsors that I've got, is they recognise that I'm using the gear. And of course, you know, you're watching a YouTube video now. We're not silly. I film all my stuff, and I have my Facebook page where I do lots of detailed posts and stuff on there. And I do that because I enjoy it. Not for the sponsors. I love my sponsors. Don't take, if you're sponsors, if you're watching it, I'm not having a pop. I love my sponsors, but I couldn't give a toss about the content. I'm making the content for me and to help others, and that's what I do it for. And I make content for my children, as you would have seen before, and it has evolved now in the fact that I like helping other people. I genuinely, all of my little videos, my Friday night thought posts that I'm doing, even this chit chat about the sponsors now, is because I like talking and helping other people as well as going fishing myself. And if I think something's good, I will say it's good. Likewise, if I think it's crap, I will say it's crap, and I won't use it and I won't recommend it. A lot of the stuff that I do is actually through just talking to people on the street, down the marina, various boat shows or tackle shows or whatever. And I'll be having conversations and giving recommendations, and I'll be brutally honest about stuff. If I don't like something, I'll say, no, look, it's got a problem here. Don't use that. Go for this one. And a lot of the stuff that I do for the companies that I'm looked after by is actually done privately, where they don't even see the work I'm doing, especially on the lures front. I mean, there's been massive lure sales just simply because I've gone out and recommended something, or I've caught a nice pollock or something on a slow jig, and I've had people go, I bought loads of these, and show me pictures. You know, I don't go run into the sponsors and go, look, what's happened? You know, you just keep it quiet. That's part of it. But unfortunately, there are there are sponsored anglers out there, and I'm not naming them, and I'm not calling anybody out directly. And how other anglers want to promote stuff or think that is best, or maybe they've had a brief from the company to do it this way. You know, how they want to do stuff is up to them. Personally, I think the best way to promote a product is to simply go out and catch fish with it and show that it's a good product. Talking the talk and walking the walk, as opposed to just talking. Now, there are anglers out there who are looked after, and sometimes companies, going back a little bit, back in the day, sponsored anglers used to be gods. They used to be the mecca. You know, you'd buy your Angling Times as a kid or even as an adult, or your Sea Angler magazine, and there'd be articles in there from these sponsored anglers recommending the product in the written word, and they were paid to do it. I'm not paid by any of the companies. I just get free stuff or at cost, which is good for me, because if I don't pay for something, it's a win. And if I get stuff at cost, I'm saving a lot of money, because I would still use it, as I said, anyway. But this day and age, in the world of social media, companies can give someone, let's just say I'm not sponsored, but someone likes me. Let's take Cox and Rule. Ben, we like the fact you're going out and doing some lovely breaming. Can we give you a few hooks here for free? And can you just go out and get some nice photos for us? Companies these days, if you're going to hire a photographer, right? And it's especially prudent in like the lure or hook market where you've got to show the product. If you're going to go and pay a professional photographer, you're spending hundreds of pounds, if not thousands, to get some quality shots. In the day and age of social media, YouTube, Xbox X, or whatever, wherever your social platforms are, companies can give decent anglers 20, 30, 50 quid's worth of product retail. It's cost them maybe a tenner or a fiver to get in, so it's pennies, and they can go, there you go out and get some nice photos. They can get some really great quality shots this day and age. You know, the phones this day, that there has got a better camera than a lot of professional cameras that you can buy on the market. And companies can give these hooks out at costs of pennies and get some great quality content. If someone films their stuff like I do, they can go and showcase that in a video. And if they've got 10,000 followers on Facebook, or even 5,000 subs on Facebook, or even 1,000 subs, that there, for a cost of £5–10 to a company, is serious eyeballs onto a product. And that's how the marketing these days is. But if you're a proper I Am a Pro Team member, like I am, or Jake, or Solent Moriel, or whoever else in the lure lot who've got social media, we're just told to go out and catch fish. That's all we do. And I think that's the best way of promoting a product. However, there are some people out there who seem to forget what company they're promoting from one day to the next. And especially lures is a big one that this happens on. And they say, this lure's the best, and I'm using this, and I'm sponsored by them. And then the next week, they're doing the same thing with another lure company, a rival lure company. And, oh, this one's brilliant. That's the best lure. You won't beat this one. And I think the public tend to look at this and go, well, hang on a minute, you're just a dickhead. And like, who are you sponsoring this week? Who's looked after this week? And it doesn't do the companies any favours, because then they're giving these people the free gear and they're not getting the return on it. People aren't going to have any confidence that that guy's actually promoting it, or woman, that it's being promoted because it's good. And the other flip side of that is there's sponsored anglers out there who verbally vomit sickly induced posts to try and get across that this product they're promoting, they're looked after. And even as a guy who's in the sponsored world himself, you read some of it and you think, oh my good God, wind it in. It's like the proper cheesy, I use such and such because it will never let me down. When the going gets tough, this rod gets going. You should buy one of these, and here's a discount code. And you think, oh my God, just go and catch a fish with it and show it in use. And it goes, there's a number of people that market that way. And like I said, I'm not calling anybody out directly for it, right? But that's the issue. I think a lot of hate is being drawn towards sponsored stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's a jealousy element to it as well. There is a big jealousy element to it. And it's because there is a lot of good anglers out there. There's anglers far better than me out there who aren't sponsored, who maybe think that they should be sponsored. But the trouble is, going back to what I was saying about social media, you could be a great angler, but if you don't show people and teach people stuff, you're no good to a company, really, I don't think, because that company's only going to have you as a customer and not the hundreds or thousands that, if someone actually teaches and takes time to show people and build an audience, there's no ROI, there's no return on investment for the companies. So the jealousy element sort of comes from that, I think. And I've experienced that with a couple of people who've said, oh, how have you got that? Well, because I like to try and show what I'm doing, and I like to educate. I like to help the youngsters. I like to help the older people. I like to show everybody what I'm doing. And I've drawn a bit of flack for that in the past, because in my videos I tend to take a bit of time to show people the rig and talk through what I'm doing. And it's not because I think everyone's an idiot and doesn't know how to catch a pollock off a wreck. It's because there'll be someone watching who will be wondering how I'm doing it. There'll be a kid watching, maybe one of my own children watching and going, well, why is he doing that? So I explain it for that reason. I do my written posts on a Friday night, or I do my community posts on YouTube explaining stuff, because there'll be someone out there that will get benefit from it. And from a company point of view, they don't want someone who's just going to keep quiet and get the free gear and make a be the best angler in the world. But if they're not showing off the product to thousands of people or hundreds of people, well, they're no good, are they? So the jealousy element is there. And also there is a bit of an element that there is a bit of rivalry within companies as well. There become, let's face it, we're all human beings in any industry. And there's people that don't like me and I don't like other people. And sometimes we might be in the same teams, and you've got to get on with it and be professional, and that's the case. But there'll be the element of people that don't want you in their team and they're trying to nudge you out and whatever. The sponsored world is also going into a different sort of area with it. It's not easy. You feel under pressure to get content. You feel under pressure to get videos. You're wondering if you've done something right. You're wondering if you've messed up. And one of the other team members might be smashing it. And you think, oh, God, I ain't been out for months. I've got to go and get something. Otherwise, they're going to start trying to kick me out, you know. I don't have that worry, because like I said, if it all ended tomorrow, I'd still be fishing and enjoying my fishing and making content. But the sponsored world is very much... It's a brilliant world to be in, because you get your free tackle and you get your cheap tackle. But be under no illusions, it comes with its own set of problems that you don't always see. And that's only getting harder from what I'm seeing on Facebook. So, you know, that's sort of my 2 pence worth on sponsored anglers. I don't know what your take on it is. Be honest with me as well, because hopefully if you've watched enough of these chats now, you will know that I'm just shooting from the hip. This is all one take here. I haven't edited anything out. So as it's recorded, it's going up. What's your thoughts on it? How do you see it? What's your take on it? Because I'll be interested to hear from the man on the ground as to what's what, whether you agree with the just go and catch fish on it, or you like the whole, this thing's brilliant because it's the best on the market, everything else is crap. Because I don't agree with that. But, you know, what's your take on it and how do you feel? Because I have conversations with both me and Jake. We're both in the Sidewinder pro team, along with a few others. All great guys, all great fishermen. But me and Jake, we haven't done any boat fishing probably properly for months now because of the weather. Obviously, I haven't got a boat at the minute. But even if I had a boat, the weather's just not been there. Jake has a little polycraft. He hasn't been out on that. So we're like, oh, Christ, we need to go and get some footage and need to go and get some lure footage, and we feel under pressure to go and get stuff, and it's not nice and it's not for everybody. And if you're chasing sponsors and you're wondering how to get sponsors, the best thing I can sort of give to advice to people who are looking to do that is to go and catch fish, help others catch fish, and just be genuine with it is all I can really give you as a tip for it. But that is this week's roundup. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. You seem to have enjoyed the other ones. A bit of a contentious subject, this one, but hopefully you've taken something from it. Any questions, drop me in the comments, all right? Get me on Facebook on there as well. If you're not over at Facebook, it'll be nice to have you over there. So, the Amputee Angler, thanks for watching. See you all again soon.